to the Sean podcast. Oh, big hush. That's the big hush for people who couldn't hear me. Whisper. Beside me here, I got the cat daddy. Cat daddy, what's on your mind?
I lost this week in fantasy. I lost by less than 5 points. I needed Aaron Rodgers to ball out and get me like 50-some points. He got me like 43, 44. He got me so close. But, it's okay. I'm 1-1 on the year. It's a long season. Even factoring in to get to the playoffs, there's 13 regular season games. I could afford to lose one.
True. So I lost last week to the highest scoring team. I was probably the fourth highest scoring team. Right now, when it comes to the first 2 weeks, I'm the second highest scoring team. The team that I faced this past week in this league had Patrick Mahomes, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson, and Derrick freaking Henry. Guess what, though? I got myself my birthday win. Beat that fool by 7 points. Yeah, this is an IDP league. Odafe Owa. The rookie came up big for me when it counted. I shouldn't have won. I should not have won. I don't know how it happened. It was a miracle. Birthday miracle. Thank you. Fate stepped in and made it happen. Because that punch on the ball was not nearly enough of what it should have been. Anyways, jumping into the bags here. We're going to revisit our Who Do You Trust from last week because you know something? Unlike them other guys out there, we cash receipts on this pod.
Good and bad.
So if we get it wrong, we let you know. If we get it right, we still let you know. So, who do you trust? I'll start with me. And the guys I trusted, I think they all did well. Tom Brady, balled out. DeAndre Hopkins, balled out. Aaron Jones, he balled out. And then Noah Fant, his numbers weren't eye-popping, but for a tight end, 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown, he probably helped you get a victory if you had him in your lineup. Sean, who do you trust? How'd it go?
All right, quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Balled out, baby. Aaron Rodgers is back. He is back. Running back. Nick
you
Chubb.
jumped on the running back. All right.
Nick Chubb,
Build
right?
up the drama.
No, we're just going to jump straight into it. I feel indifferent about this one because I said anything less than
I think this is a win for you.
120 and a touchdown would be a disappointment. He finished with 95 and a touchdown on the ground.
98, I thought.
No, either way, he didn't reach the century mark, which is slightly disappointing there. So there'll be a half.
This is a win.
Yeah.
And then,
wide receiver. Ooh, I missed. I whiffed big on wide receiver Devontae Smith. I'm thinking San Francisco has this cornerback issue. We have a new Jalen Hurts showing up this year in 2021, but instead we saw the 2020 version of Jalen Hurts. Devontae Smith. Yeah, what's up?
There's some other receivers on Philly that did well. It just wasn't Smith.
Yeah, it wasn't Smith. Smith drew 7 targets. That's a good target share. But he can only turn it into 2 catches for 16 yards.
That's no good.
No bueno. No bueno. So I missed on that one. But I definitely hit on my tight end, TJ Hawkinson. I said that Green Bay didn't like guarding the tight end, and he proved me right because he had 9 targets. He turned it into 8 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. So I was 2.5, 3-ish out of 4.
All right, now for who you don't trust. All right, so I said Josh Allen. I'm still taking this dub because Josh Allen's supposed to be a studly quarterback. Yes, I get it. He had 2 touchdowns, but he only had 179 yards. And you're supposed to be getting the rushing yards out of him. He got 35. He did not do enough for what a guy where you draft him is supposed to do. He didn't pull up Patrick Mahomes numbers. He didn't put up Kyler Murray numbers. He didn't put up Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers numbers. So this one is, I still think this is a guy who did not perform to what he should. I think I got this one. Then so Terry McLaurin, He said, "Poo poo you. I'm coming out and I'm doing my thing." And yeah, I was wrong there. Sorry for those of you who listened to me on that one. But Saquon Barkley, I got that one right on Thursday. Now, note, I didn't get this episode out fast enough, so most likely you didn't listen to me, so thank goodness. But with Barkley, you should have. Barkley did not put up any numbers that you would like. Now, Kyle Pitts, I'm going to take this loss, even though his numbers weren't awesome. He had 7 catches for 73 yards. When you look at those and just like a microcosm, those are decent, not great numbers, but I'm going to call it a loss because he did more than I thought. Sean, how about your ones? What's your track record here?
Don't trust. I was 3 out of 4 on this one.
One of those you're doing some semantics with me, though.
Semantics, yeah. We'll go into the semantics of it. And that one's going to be my quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. I was like last week, I'm thinking he's going against Arizona. The offense just doesn't look the same. I'm not optimistic about Tannehill or that Tennessee offense. Now, Ryan Tannehill ended the game with 347 yards passing. So if we're assuming that you get 1 point for every 25 yards passing, he got you close to 14 points just on passing yards. But he had no touchdowns, right? The one touchdown he had to Julio Jones got called back. So,
which was a travesty.
Well, yeah, but it is what it is.
It is, but it's still a travesty.
It is. But he didn't get you any touchdowns. So do you expect your starting quarterback to get you a touchdown? Yes.
I give you this one.
All right. My second one, my running back, Josh Jacobs. I was like, Las Vegas offensive line is a mess. He's a little banged up. That Pittsburgh defense looks legit. He's going to be touchdown dependent. And he was declared out on Friday before the games due to toe and ankle issues. So I'll call that a win. And then my wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar. Hey, don't chase those week 1 stats. And I was right because he had 3 targets. He caught all 3. He only got you 21 yards, though. So if you started him, you got like 2 points. That's not what you want out of a wide receiver. And my big miss, we both missed on tight ends. I was like, Gronkowski, I know Atlanta's defense is abysmal, but I'm thinking Tampa Bay has too many weapons. Evans, Godwin, Brown. I just picked the wrong one that wouldn't show up, right? I said Gronkowski would be the one not showing up, but he had 5 targets, caught 4 of them, 39 yards. Man, those 39 yards are not impressive, but then you realize he had 2 touchdowns, and that more than makes up for just the pedestrian 39 yards. So missed on Gronkowski. Overall, is a win, though.
Okay, just some little tidbits I want to throw out there, quarterback wise. I don't think we can poo-poo on Derek Carr. Derek Carr is putting up some numbers that they're looking pretty good. So I think Derek Carr has to be considered a pretty legit fantasy guy. Jared Goff getting that garbage time stuff you thought for
Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
Like, he's not putting up anything real nice, but you know he's got some stuff out there. And then Teddy B, those weapons helping them put up some numbers. Any thoughts on any quarterbacks for you?
Any quarterbacks? Daniel Jones. You know, Daniel Jones, what he put on paper was 249 and a touchdown through the air. He had another 95 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Are you always going to get 95 yards on the ground from Daniel Jones? No. But what I did like that didn't show up in the box score was Daniel Jones had a near touchdown to Darius Slayton. So he should have had 2 touchdowns. And I also liked that Daniel Jones had what was like a 50-some yard touchdown that was called back on a holding penalty, a rushing touchdown. So we're seeing the right things from Daniel Jones. It just didn't show up in the box score, and it's very encouraging to see. So I like that. Derek Carr, new life, like what's going on? Whatever it is, whatever they're drinking down there, over there in Las Vegas, Hey, keep drinking it. For
Into Gruden, I guess.
fantasy purposes, Kirk Cousins, right? We're not going to say we're not having MVP talk here, but fantasy purposes, when the game's just about the stats, Kirk Cousins doing pretty good. 244 through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's what you want from a quarterback.
All right, so I'll move on to wide receivers here. And just like the state, there's 2 wide receivers from the last 2 drafts. Not this draft this year, the drafts prior. So CD Lamb is showing himself. As I told people, he would be the top wide receiver from that particular draft. Now, note, I don't want to really overspeak because Jerry Jeudy did get injured, but some availability is something that has to go with that. And knock on wood that CD doesn't get injured, but I mean Jerry Jeudy was showing out also. I know Henry Ruggs has showed up this week. He had a nice play in the first game, so Henry Ruggs is there, but CD Lamb is showing how good he is. The one that you have to be concerned about is Justin Jefferson. Where has he been? He's looking like the 3rd receiver on that squad, and I'm wondering what exactly is going on there. And then also I want to point out Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel has arrived. Everyone thought Brandon Ayuk was going to be the one to take over as the top receiver in that particular offense. No, Deebo is here, and Deebo's here to stay. Deebo is bullying people like he was in the movie Friday. Any thoughts on wide receivers, Sean?
I wouldn't have thought 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that I'd be talking about this guy, good things about this guy, but Houston Texans wide receiver Brandon Cooks, 9 receptions, 78 yards, a touchdown. That's between 2 quarterbacks. That's between Tyrod Taylor, and it's also between Davis Mills. Davis Mills seemed to look often to Brandon Cooks. But what really stands out for me is Brandon Cooks drew 14 targets. When it comes to wide receivers, I like those high target numbers. I like my quarterback or the quarterback getting my wide receiver the ball, or at least looking in his direction as much as possible. So even though I'm not high on the Houston Texans as an NFL team, when it comes to fantasy purposes, similar with how I think about Kirk Cousins, when it comes to fantasy purposes, I'm like, man, Brandon Cooks, 14 targets, even with Davis Mills as quarterback. Okay, because we know Texans are going to be trailing, and when you're trailing, you got to throw the ball more often. So that looked good. I mean, Terry McLaurin was a beast. He drew 14 targets himself, too. He was much more productive with those 14 targets. But surrounding talent, etc., etc. Deontay Johnson ended the game, 9 receptions, 105 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but he broke the century mark.
Worried about his availability, though.
Yeah, he does have a knee injury that he suffered at the end of the game. Was it a meaningless play? Yeah, it could be debated. If he had gotten me more points for fantasy purposes, I would have said, no, it's not a meaningless play. It's very important to me. But one of my better wide receivers may potentially be out for a couple of weeks, so I want him to come back and check on that. But when he's healthy, he's drawing double-digit targets each game, and he's converting them. And what I like, he's not dropping the ball. He has no drops this season.
Yes, which was his issue last year.
Exactly. And then wide receiver, NFC West, Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp. Somebody contain these guys, right? Contain them.
Somebody from the West. Lockett, Kupp, DeAndre, maybe? Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, those two with their week 2 performances stood out a little bit more because we're thinking Tyler Lockett came in with 178 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 163, 2 touchdowns. And
No. I'm just saying that NFC West, there's some nice players there all around.
They do.
Deebo Samuel.
And Devontae Adams is back. 8 receptions, 121, no touchdowns, but 8 and 121. If you get that on a weekly basis, touchdown here and there, I'll take it.
All right, moving on to running back. I only got 2 running backs to talk about. Well, technically 3. Now I'm gonna make it 5.
You just take your time. Take your time.
So first I want to talk about Darrell Henderson. He was putting up solid numbers. He was actually near the top 10 of running backs in terms of production. But he got that rib injury, and he's got Sony Michel behind him. And Sony Michel's very talented. And Sony Michel comes in and he can't play and balls out. What do you do then? Then another runner. These are all about running back shares that could be changing. So you got Michael Carter from the New York Jets, and I'm not talking about the cornerback out of Duke. I'm talking about the Michael Carter out of North Carolina. That's a weird dynamic there. They got 2 Michael Carters from rival schools in the same draft. That's odd. But Michael Carter started getting more of the share of the touches in that Patriots game. Let's see what happens going forward. But I mean, this could be a good sign for his stock. Same thing with Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams started getting more of a share from Melvin Gordon. Let's see what his stock does going forward. Another interesting share in terms of touches is right there in the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Pollard looked like a better running back in that game against the Chargers. Now, note, is this going to hold up all year round? I don't know. Zeke Elliott needs to, show a little bit more explosiveness. Now, note, as a football dynamic, Zeke Elliott is the better overall running back in terms of what you want to do, especially when it comes to blocking. Zeke Elliott saves his quarterback more times than you can possibly believe, and he picks up a lot of the dirty yards. But when it comes to explosion, Tony Pollard is the better back in that aspect. So we'll have to wait and see how this changes the dynamic for those 2 guys going forward. Sean?
So running backs that stood out to me, Derrick Henry.
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. But what I like about Derrick Henry, I mean, the 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, that's something to like. But what I like about Derrick Henry is that he was used in the passing game, because if you listen to our previous episodes, you know that I like running backs who get a majority of the carries and are active in the passing game. And one of the reasons that I was initially low on Derrick Henry to start the season was, 1, the high volume of carries that he's had the past couple of years, that the wear and the tread, and 2, his lack of involvement in the passing game. But what did we see this week? We saw 9 targets to Derrick Henry. We saw him catch 6 of those, and that added another 55 yards to his stat line. That stood out to me. Okay, rushing yards aside, his involvement with the passing game just signals to me that there's a change in that Tennessee offense. Arthur Smith built up this great system that utilized rushing and the play-action pass. Derrick Henry benefited from it. Ryan Tannehill benefited from it. But now there's a change. Less play-action, and now we're involving Derrick Henry in the passing game. So could he have more value moving forward? I'm still a little concerned about the wear and the tread, right? How many carries and touches he's had the past couple of years, just the probability of him breaking down. But while he's healthy, it's good to see those targets. It's good to see those catches. And speaking of catches, my boy Austin Eckler from the Los Angeles Chargers, 0 targets last week. Ridiculous, but I get it. They're trying to keep him healthy, not put too much on his plate. This week, he gets himself 9 targets. He catches. Did he get 9 targets? I thought he got 9. Hold on, let me double check. My math was correct. He got 9 targets. He caught all 9 for an extra 61 yards. I love it. Welcome back, Austin Eckler. And then who else do we have for running back that's not low-hanging fruits? All right, let's see if I can sneak one in. J.D. McKissick stealing some value in Washington,
Yes, he did.
taking a goal line carry away from Antonio Gibson, but then also adding 5 catches for 83 yards in the passing game.
That's where he's getting the values. He's the one in the 2-minute drill when they need someone to catch the ball.
And I was surprised because all of this talk about Austin Eckler during the preseason was, we're going to envision a Christian McCaffrey-like season for Antonio Gibson. We're going to see him more involved in the passing game. And I don't think we've seen it as much. So is Washington.
Ron Rivera talks nonsense.
And that just goes to show that anything that's discussed during preseason, especially the good things, you have to take with a grain of salt. Grain of salt. And then, let's see if I got one more for you. You already took my Tony Pollard one, but I get it. You're a Cowboy fan.
You knew it was coming.
I got to put something on blast real quick. Joe Mixon. Joe. Joe. Joe.
Hey, he's still a top-tier guy. He just isn't doing exactly what he should be doing.
Wait. He got 20 carries, 69 yards, 2 receptions. 2 targets, 1 reception for all of 2 yards. Joe, come on. I lost by less than 5 points.
It's a good defense.
You would have gotten a touchdown. I would have won.
It's a good defense.
Right. Talk to your boy Joe.
Talk about why you lost. You know why you lost.
I know why I lost. I started the wrong wide receiver. That's why I lost.
Just like the guy who I played, I started the wrong kicker. First of all, why do you have 2 kickers?
There should never be started a wrong kicker.
All right, moving on to I don't have anything to say about tight end. Do you want to talk about tight ends?
Yeah. Well, you did talk about Kyle Pitts a little bit when it came to tight ends. He had more involvement this week.
In terms of notable, I think the tight ends are what they are personally right now. I've not seen anybody do anything extra special or any team use somebody who I think is going to break out or anything like that. I think the tight ends are who they are.
The bar is set pretty low for tight ends. Like, if you're not Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle, if you're not in that group
Hawkinson,
like, the bar set pretty low. Noah Fant got the 30-some yards, but he got a touchdown.
Right.
And then you have players like, Darren Waller, who got 5 catches for 65 yards, but no touchdown in there. What did stand out a little bit for me is Indianapolis, Jack Doyle. Right? We haven't talked about Jack Doyle in a long time. His name hasn't been relevant for a while. 5 receptions.
I would like to throw out there.
Yeah, who you got?
But go ahead, say Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle, 5 catches, 64 yards. That's a streaming option for you right there.
I was hating on the Buffalo offense, but Dawson Knox showed up. Dawson Knox made some really good plays. But let's move on to our final segment. Getting through here. Only so much time. So, it's who do you trust? Sean, I'm going to let you start. Your QB. Who's your QB you trust this week?
Man, I might regret this one next week. And, we keep receipts here. And I'm okay to admit when I'm wrong and when I fail. I don't want him to be that person I talk about next week, like I did Rob Gronkowski this week, but he might be. Daniel Jones.
I'm not that bold.
New York Giants, right? We're going bold. No brisket, no biscuit. I'm thinking Daniel Jones.
It's Atlanta.
He's right. It's Atlanta. He's looked good. Looked gooder the first 2 games of the year. Yes, ish. But what I like is a quarterback who, this year he hasn't turned the ball over much. I don't think at all. So that's been a good start for him. But he's added in the rushing yards. Am I expecting another 95 yards and a touchdown added on? No. I'll settle for like a 50 and a touchdown. I think he's capable of doing that, especially against this Atlanta defense. And he's going to feed the ball to Kenny Galladay. Why? Because Kenny Galladay is on the sideline yelling at Jason Garrett.
All right, so my low hanging fruit is when I quarterback for who I trust. I'm sorry, I trust the low hanging fruit. No, I'm not going Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to say Kyler Murray going against the Jaguars. I'm sorry, he's going to light them up. If Tyrod Taylor lit them up, and I know Tyrod Taylor was playing better than most, but Tyrod Taylor, Teddy B, Kyler Murray's going to light these fools up. I'm just saying, that's how it works. All right, let's move on to running back.
Running back that I trust is Austin Eckler. I've been high on him all preseason, even all season so far. I was not thrilled with the 0 targets last week, but he turned it around this week. Joe Lombardi got smart, and
You won last week.
I know, strange, isn't it? Aaron Rodgers does 4, and Austin Eckler draws no targets, and I win. Or Aaron Rodgers balls out, Austin Eckler draws 9 targets, but I lose. It's a really tough world. It is, but I like Eckler this week. It's a matchup against Kansas City, and seeing him...
Defense is not great.
What's that?
Their run defense is not great.
I mean, not just the run defense, but you're thinking it's going to be a shootout. And Eckler was heavily involved in that passing game last week. And if they're in a shootout and that continues this week, it's going to be great. The over-under for the game is 55.5 points, and I'm really hoping for the over.
All right, so my running back is Tayshawn Williams, the Baltimore Ravens, going against the Lions. I'm continuing a theme that I have going right now. I might continue it next week. But a running back versus the Lions is going to do well. So this is a great running team. This running back will put up numbers against these Detroit Lions. Their run defense is just bad.
Yeah.
Now, onto your wide receiver.
Wide receiver. I know I gave you my wide receiver earlier, and I almost want to change it now.
Oh, well, no, go ahead.
Would you kill me if I changed it? All right.
No,
All right.
go ahead. Do your thing.
All right. I just talked about his quarterback. We're going for a stack here. Kenny Galladay. When the wide receiver screams on the sideline, guess what happens the next week? He gets the ball. The squeaky wheel gets the ball. So Kenny Galladay, hopefully that hamstring's good, buddy. Hopefully.
We'll see how it goes.
Don't prove me wrong. Otherwise, my other guy was going to be KJ Osborne. So, but
you can't
I'm
go
sticking
back
with
to KJ.
Galladay. I'm sticking with Galladay.
All right, so my one. This guy balled out last week, like grotesquely. He had to step up for his team, and he did. Yeah, the number one receiver went down. He's like, what do you mean the number one receiver went down? I'm the number one receiver. And so I'm talking about Cortland Sutton. Came out, he's going versus the Jets. The Jets passing offense is not passing defense is not the greatest. It's not terrible, but Teddy, I think Cortland Sutton's going to find windows. He's a big, tall, strong, fast guy, and he's not Mac Jones. He doesn't have Mac Jones throwing to him. I think Cortland Sutton's going to get this ball, and it's going to be it's a wide receiver you can trust in your lineup. Tight end, you trust.
Tight end I trust. Green Bay does not like guarding the defense or guarding the tight end for whatever reason. Guess who Green Bay gets to go against this week?
Somebody I know.
George Kittle.
Oh, that guy.
Now, Kittle has not looked as good this year as he has in the past.
I don't think he's looked bad. I think they've been going to other guys, which you did predict. They just go into a different guy than you predicted.
Yeah,
And
apparently that guy found himself in the doghouse. Yeah,
it's also possible teams are shutting down Kittle, opening up other guys to get open. But
yep.
And also could be that his quarterback's poo chew.
Yep. But if you need a tight end who needs to feast, come against Green Bay.
Yeah, I got Kittle also. I'm go with your expertise on Green Bay. I saw what happened with Hawkinson. I saw what happened with Juwan James or Johnson. Yeah, we're gonna go that route. All right, who you don't trust? I'm gonna start with this one. My QB that I do not trust this week is Jameis Winston. I know this sounds like low hanging fruit again. I actually do think Jameis is going to bounce back later this year. But right now, coming off a poor performance, going into a game against the Patriots, I'm sorry, Jameis, this is going to be bad.
You said later this year.
Maybe week 4, but not week 3.
No,
Who you
alrighty.
got?
My quarterback not to trust, Baker Mayfield. We're thinking he's going against Chicago, and if that defense carries the momentum they had in the second half of the game, Baker's in for a long day, especially when you consider that Jarvis Landry is going to be out. Odell Beckham is currently questionable, and even if he does play this week, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%. I think Cleveland may try to establish the run game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt a little bit more. Try and control the clock, control the field. I don't.
Chicago's good defense.
And that defense, right? When I talked about Roquan Smith, we did our IDP series. What I call him? I called him the monster of the midway, right? Not them collectively. Him as the individual, and he's taken over this defense. This is no longer Khalil Mack's defense. This is Roquan Smith's defense.
So we'll see how it goes. For running back, so I'm gonna put a tandem in there. One actually might not play, but I don't care if it's Daryl Henderson or Sony Michelle. Tampa's defense does not give up much yards or touchdowns to the running back. Tampa is going to lock this down. LA is going to have to air it out. Do not trust these running backs. Yourself?
My running back next trust is going to be Mike Davis from the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta offense is struggling. New York, the Giants look surprisingly good against the run.
I wouldn't say surprisingly. They're good defense.
I mean, I'd say surprisingly because they lost Dalvin Tomlinson, which really changes the front of that defense because now it's more pressure on Leonard Williams than he had last year. So surprised in
But
that.
they still got Dexter Lawrence.
They do. As long as he doesn't jump off sides and a field goal attempt, they should be good. But I don't trust Mike Davis because the Atlanta offense struggles. New York plays pretty good against the defense, the run. And we have Cordero Patterson taking rushing attempts. Arthur Smith is going to find some creative way to use him, and I think it might be at the sacrifice of Mike Davis. But we did see Mike Davis a little bit involved in the passing game.
Right.
So, but overall, until Atlanta figures, gets their life together, I don't trust them.
Henry Ruggs is my wide receiver I do not trust. And I know everybody's like, well, you poo-poo on Henry Ruggs all the time, and he's been producing. I get it. I gave him love before in other pods recently. But here he's playing the Miami defense. The Miami corners are very good. And I just don't see them letting him get behind them like he did against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was missing guys, and I see this being more of a clamp down situation with Henry Ruggs and Derek Carr needing to dink and dunk, probably target guys like Brian Edwards, Darren Waller again getting a lot of targets here, and Hunter run through a lot more.
All right. Wide receiver not to trust Laviska Shenault, Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going against Arizona this week, and there's a few things I don't like. One, I have no idea what Jacksonville is doing. On offense, on defense, special teams, life in general. I don't know what they're doing.
I've seen what they're doing. It's the personnel. It's It's not working out.
Yeah, there's a lot that's not working out. Like, what's Jacksonville's identity? You have Trevor Lawrence chucking the ball downfield. You have some, like, week one where Carlos Hyde gets more carries than James Robinson. The world corrected itself where James Robinson got more carries this past week, which was great to see. But what are they doing on offense? Trevor Lawrence is among one of the worst and least accurate passing quarterbacks. There's a lot to do with that. And I'm
call it offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think he's just getting rid of the ball half the time.
Gotta get rid of this before I get killed. All right. And
Pretty
then
much.
I'm not convinced that Urban Meyer knows what to do with Schmaltz. And that's not even factoring in the Arizona defense that's coming into town. Chandler Jones,
True.
J.J. Watts, Isaiah
Chandler's
Simmons.
going to get his rookie quarterback. It's going to come down. I'm just not as quick to jump on Jacksonville. I didn't realize how bad the roster is. I agree with you on not trusting. I just think it's less to do with incompetence and more to do with whoever ran this squad beforehand did not know what they were doing when putting it together.
Clearly.
And I mean, you saw that. Let's touch on that real quick. You saw that. Let's ship. Let's make Jalen Ramsey so upset we ship him out of town.
Leonard Fournette.
Let's
waste the number 3 pick on Blake Bortles.
Well, there's that obvious. But I mean, and then there's who else? The AJ Boye. Ship him out. It's just there's so many miscues. Cam Robinson, which they're given a chance because what else they got?
Yep.
You get what I'm saying here. Like there's some miscues that were done by management previous. Robert Saleh's going through that with the Jets right now. That roster's not the greatest either. Arthur Smith is going through it with Atlanta. That roster's not great right now.
I mean, offensive stuff. I mean, not to get sidetracked, but offensively, you're thinking Atlanta's in a better position. The defense is a hot mess, right? They rode the hot mess express. But
I told you Atlanta was not going to be that great offensively. You said no, this, and that.
Yeah, you're thinking you still got Matt Ryan, who should still be good, but where's the disconnect, right? Do they not have their identity yet with Arthur Smith leading the way? Does it take a little bit of time to get there? But I digress.
I think the identity, because I think they're struggling. No knock on your boy Calvin Ridley, but I think they're struggling to make Calvin Ridley the number one wideout. And I think they're in their brains they were gonna make Kyle Pitts the number one guy right off the jump, and tight ends historically struggle. And it's not working out. They had Julio before. Julio garners a lot of attention. He's really, really good. Now, I know he hasn't been doing it the way people would think in Tennessee, but I mean, that was a touchdown, by the way, just saying. But getting off this sidetrack, we ain't got too much time. Let's get to the tight end. My tight end, not to trust, is Logan Thomas of the Washington football team going against the Bills. Bills defense is really, really good. They've got Matt Milano. Woo! He is a very good linebacker in coverage and all around. I think that defensive line is going to get Tyler Heineke, or however you say his name. I apologize. And I would not trust putting Logan Thomas in. What do you think?
Guess who I have at tight end as well? We have tight end samesies again. Because I got Logan Thomas too. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. You're right. That Buffalo defense is going to be better. They're going to guard him tougher. And overall, he just has not looked as impressive to start the season as people were thinking he was or hoping he would be. So I am not very high on Logan Thomas. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricky Seals, Jones added a little bit more into that passing game, get a little bit more involved because, I mean, it's very, very small sample size, but there could be an argument made that Ricky Seals-Jones has looked better,
Better.
small sample size, compared to Logan Thomas.
I get you. All right. We wrapping up now. Sean, words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Oh, I don't know. If you're into the gambling of fantasy football and football in general, I hope my advice helps you win. I hope.
Just gonna let y'all know, if you're 0-2, you lose this week, might be time to start drinking. Just saying.